All right, welcome to the stream. Got how do we start? I was just watching a clip on YouTube of a channel called the Valve Bounce talking about the new Red Bull livery. So we've got it here, and like, what's he called? Is he called? Oh, I can't remember their names, but I know one of them's called Damo. But this is a livery. It looks like a Red Bull livery. It's got the blue highlights. It looks pretty cool. But I saw another clip from Let's Talk Motorsport. They're talking about how Adidas are on board, and I don't know if there's any photos of the merch. Actually, is anything on the race suit? Not really. But obviously, Adidas is on the Mercedes gear, but there's something that no one seemed to talk about. Maybe I just not in the right circles or whatever. But I think Puma's on board with Blanchard Racing Team, so that's something that sort of went under the radar. When James Golding was announced, he had the Puma Tiger on his shirt. So I need to move some things around here. There, kind of. I'll pop that out. All right. Put that there. Okay. And then we have the Groves livery, which I didn't think it was that. I don't think it was that great. I was like, it's all right. It's gold. It's fine. It's not very exciting. It's interesting. They always they start off the year with great liveries, and you go, "Oh, this is good," and then they start off the year with a pretty normal looking livery, and then it gets better as the year goes on, and then they sort of start over again. Just it goes back to a normal looking livery. But they no longer have Ned on board. They've got Air Touch instead, which I thought was interesting. It's pretty similar to last time, apart from it's got a little trim down the bottom there. That's fine. I don't really have a whole lot to say about that, apart from they finally had the co-drivers in their right suits. Will Davison, Tim Slade at Groves, and Nick Percat at Triple Eight with Scott Pye. Brock Feeney has a beard, is another thing, which there was a V8 Sleuth article talking about Shane Gisbergen, and SVG shaved his beard, I guess. And so where we looking? Must be longer ago. It was only the other week, but they must be pumping out a lot of stuff. Alright. Seriously? Oh, here we go. There is a button to go backwards. And there's a documentary about the finals, and it's like, alright, whatever. I don't really care that much. I watched it. I watched the finals. It was great. Why do you have to sell it to me again? You know, I'm here for 2026, not 2025. But I guess we'll see how it goes. Where is it? Maybe it was longer ago. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about Alice Buckley, because I think this might be a little bit too much hype behind her, and I don't know if it's really going to turn into anything, because it's not like she actually has this incredible record of success. They're just saying that she does. Where is it? Maybe I missed it. Where is it? Yeah, it's further along ago. I watched a bit of the Clash, of the highlights of the Clash at wherever it was, NASCAR Clash, and it was boring. I was like, wow, this is just a parade lap. Where is it? It's nowhere. They had like a bunch of the NASCAR drivers. Oh, for God's sake, this is ages ago. Where is it? I've lost it. But it's sort of funny the number of people who thought, oh yeah, this is great, and then you watch it and you're like, no one's getting up to top speed because it's such a tiny track. They just can't. They go. I know, like all oval tracks are going around in circles, but it was not exciting. Where is it? Oh, I didn't see that. What's stupid V8 so it's not allowing me to right click. Where is it? I don't think. Oh, is this that's the end of it? I guess it's just not going to be there at all. Oh wait, here we go. Found it. So there's SVG, and he shaved his beard, and then Brock Feeney's grown a beard. So Brock Feeney stole SVG's beard. that's what I'm going with. And apparently you got Ross Chastain, SVG, Justin Marks, and Connor Zilich. Why have they got? Oh, that's all Trackhouse Racing. Okay. Well, yeah, I really don't know that much about NASCAR, but yeah, SVG shaved his beard. Oh no, I didn't show it. Hang on. That's annoying. Angus Bergen. Here we go. SVG with no beard. And then obviously we've seen lots of photos of Brock Feeney with his beard, which I do not like the look. That's just a me thing. So we've got. Hang on, we've got the Red Bull livery. We had the Objective Racing livery, and then we had the Grove livery. So I'm going to find the AAA. Is it AAA? Yeah, I'm just going to open up my AAA presentation. Oh, just give it a second. Here we go. Oh, it's decided to be there? Sure, why not? You know, it's a shame that Windows 10 is just such a pile of snot. How am I supposed to maximize anything? No, this is actually frustrating now. Do it like that. It should not be there. That's such a stupid spot for it. Anyway. So, now here we go. So, there's a few things I need to chuck in the liveries. I didn't realize I haven't updated that. So, you got Jackson Walls and Brock Feeney and Will Brown. Jackson Walls livery, he's got Objective. And people were complaining about it, saying, oh, the reason he's got the gig is because of Daddy's cash. But when you think about it, if you were running a race team and you did have a sponsor that could sponsor the car, but then there was this driver coming in and he had a sponsor and they were like, oh no, we really want to be on the car. You go your hardest, mate. We're happy to take your money. Like you don't say no just so you can be like, oh yeah, it's not just about like it really doesn't matter that much. And there were some good points we made in Speed Cafe about in the comments Someone was saying, I know Jackson Walls only won one race from pole, but he was consistently like top 6 all year, and then just had a bad end to the year. So there is potential for him to be a pretty competitive supercars driver. And it was like you look at lots of other drivers who did 1 year in Super 2. Probably Ryan Wood is an exception compared to Jackson Walls. Not there's a few drivers who did 1 year in Super 2 and did a really good job. But for whatever reason, Tickford had a really solid program. Triple Eight returned for 1 year, and then that was as good as it was going to get. It's not the same as Tickford with multiple years running this program. And I know it's easy to say, oh, it's Triple Eight, it should be doing better, but every team is a people sport. You've got to have all the right people in the right places. And there have been people leaving Triple Eight, and there have been, Triple Eight want to be making sure that they're doing a great job in all areas. It's not like they win in everything. And maybe Jackson Walls isn't a Scott Pye or an Andrew Thompson. But of course, Andrew Thompson was in Super 2 for a long time as well. Jackson Walls was not too bad in Carrera Cup. He was in the mix. Like I get up to Adelaide and he was up the front battling. So I've seen him over the years being really competitive. Alright, now I need to... Oh, I can press this button, right? I found that out. And then I gotta pick the one. And if I'm picking a Brock Feeney picture, I gotta pick one, because there isn't really one. It's just sort of annoying. But it's nice now. So you got the 88 and the 888, and we had in 2021, this photo, this one with Feeney and Winkup. Winkup handing over the 88 to Feeney, and then 5 years later, you've got Lowndes handing over the 888 to Will Brown. And for me, it was annoying because you're like, oh, why couldn't they just give him the 888 to Brown in the first place? Well, it's because it was Lowndes' number, and he was still in the team, still doing a wildcard program, so they wanted him to keep having the 888, and they'd just give a different number to Will Brown. And they gave the 87 to him. Bit of a compromised position, but then, of course, Will won the championship, and then had number 1 last year, and now he gets 888, so it's nice. It's annoying, but it's nice now. Now, I put some of the photos of the Red Bull forward. Where is it? Do I not have it? I guess I don't have it. Because it's a deep blue. So it's not like I'll press all files that have more. Oh, it's in... That's right. I'm looking for a Brock Feeney picture. I'm not going to find it in that one. Right. So, where is it? That's the one that it's got. And it's got Will Brown jumping out of the car. It's annoying that they don't have like the split livery stuff that they got going on. How different isn't it from the... It's a bit different from the copy over from last year's car. I guess I'll just put this one. And I'll just put both, I guess. it's gonna look like a bit of a mess, and I might change it. Maybe I'll just do it like that. Oh, it's got shadow over it. It's annoying too. Whatever. That's the way it looks. It's fine. Yeah, I wanted to see SCT on the Jackson Walls one, but it's fine. And the Red Bull one looks good. Like the Red Bull liveries always look good. Do they have a visual difference? Well, they probably won't because this is Will Brown's car, so you're not gonna know what Brock Feeney's car looks like. And I don't climb on all the socials. I only go on Speed Cafe and Supercars and maybe V8 Sleuth. And so I don't see every photo that comes out. So I think people look on Instagram and stuff. I don't really look on Instagram because Instagram just doesn't work to me. It's kind of broken. So I don't know how to look at things in chronological order. It just sort of pops up what it wants me to see. So yeah. But it's pretty similar to the one that Max Verstappen ran in that Red Bull video, the 100 years of cars. And I don't think there's any pictures of it, but I might want to find it. We'll find it and we'll have a look. Right. Max Verstappen supercar. There, this one. This. And they've got all angles of it as well. And so it ended up looking pretty much the same, right? Well, it's a bit different. Let's have a look. So if we copied that and we stuck it in here. Okay, PowerPoint. So no quad lock. They got Century, they got National Storage, Super Cheap Auto, Shaw and Partners, Worth. Oh, they had quad lock there and they moved it down because Adidas wanted to be on the car too. Right. And then we've got what? Amplify and Super Cheap on the back wing. Yep, no worries. Shaw and Partners, yep, Amplify. And they got Ford Racing down the bottom. Looks similar. It's a bit different because obviously it's red and they got a few cool things going for that. But a lot of the sponsors are in the same spot apart from where Adidas and Quadlock have swapped spots. That probably just tells you that somebody paid a bit more money or something. Or interesting how that sort of must be a difficult job for a commercial manager. There's that. But yeah, I was going to show James Golding's picture when he got announced. So here he is. In a second. Here we go. So he's got Puma over the top of the BRT logo. And I thought, oh, maybe it's just like a uniform sponsor. But then I see Adidas coming on board at 888. And it made me think, huh, that's interesting. So yeah, it just made me think when I first saw Puma with BRT, I thought, oh, that's pretty serious. So to me, BRT isn't that big a team. They're a small team. They're growing bit by bit, but they're not like the biggest, most successful team that you'd want to sponsor. They're growing, and they've got momentum on their side, and that's probably what sponsors and people who are in the category see. They see, oh, this team's going places. You know, they got a podium last year. Next year they could get more podiums. Blah blah blah. Doesn't necessarily mean it's true. And maybe we'll try and talk a bit more about that today. But it just seemed a bit weird. Like, of all the teams, Puma are on board BRT, and yeah, maybe it is momentum. But yeah, that's something that's going on with BRT at the moment, as well as you got Triple Eight with Adidas. So and I think who was it? Is it Damo from? I don't know if it's Damo. Yeah, I think it is Damo from. What's this? From the Bow Bounce, talking about, could you make Objective any bigger on Jackson Wall's livery? Well, it was actually bigger in the Super 2 car. If you look at, here it is. It's actually a bit bigger. Look how huge that is. We go, if I drop it down next to it, maybe make it a bit smaller. It's bigger in the Super 2 car, and I thought, gee, you couldn't make that any bigger, could you? Whereas this year, I think it's just because of the Mustang, the body of the Mustang. Like that first O goes over the back of the wheel. Oh. And so that was interesting. I was like, oh. What else is about it? It's interesting. They've got more like 888 stickers on the car, but none on the actual on the actual one where he's driving in the main game 888. So that was interesting. So obviously similar colours. They must be like the corporate colours of Objective. I didn't even know what Objective was. I think it's apparently some sort of software. Apparently they got really big during COVID with Zoom and stuff like that. So I guess Objective was one of those programs for doing video calls or whatever. And people saying that it's not very good software. I don't know. And they've also got Toyota forklifts on the back, which you can't really see in that photo. But they're there. And obviously got showroom partners jumping on board as well. That's about it. Everybody else is carrying over from the car from last year, from the Jackson Evans car. Yeah. That's all I got to say about that. You can hear my voice is pretty worn out as well. All right, so, and obviously the Mustang from last year is just sort of a pretty much a copy over. I don't know what that is. I'll make it super. So a bit more super cheap on the car than last year, and we can just see from there as well. But there's a bit going on for 2026, and I think it'd be good just to go over things and talk about it. I've been talking to my workmate about how we're going to have different commentators this year. We're not going to have we're not going to have Mark Scaife or Neil Crompton. We're going to have Garth Tander and possibly Chad Nalon. And that's kind of a loss. To me, that feels like a loss for the sport. You can complain all you like about how, the inside jokes, blah, 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 but Neil Crompton was funny. I liked Crompo. And people complain about Scaife saying that, he didn't say anything useful, but I've got notes from last year talking about all the sessions that I watched from last year, and every time, like not all the time, but Scapey would say interesting things, and I go, "Oh, that's an interesting thing." I'd write that down. Like they were talking about Tail and Bend and how they would put Albert Park setups in the car at Tail and Bend, and I thought that's an interesting thing to do. Like Scapey said interesting stuff. I don't know if you're going to get that out of a Chad Nalon, and I especially don't think you're going to get that out of a Matt Nolte or Richard Craill. Like they're kind of promoting people who are they're stepping up to the big game, and they really need to do a good job. And their appearances last year really didn't say anything. Like I think I had was it Matt Nolte in one of the sessions at Taylor and Ben last year, and he didn't say anything. All I've got in my notes is he was one of the commentators. That was it. It was I think it was Chad Nalon and Matt Nolte, and Chad Nalon was the only one saying anything interesting. Um, so I would be annoyed if they were like, yeah, put the support category guys in, because unless they're saying something funny, saying something that makes the show better, they're just sort of telling me what's going on. It's not really that useful to me. So yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've got to say about the commentary side of things. It's going to be interesting. I'm not going to have KO this year, trying to save some money. So I'm going to be watching it through my old method where they've got they're going to probably going to put the recap on YouTube, highlights up, and if it's on free to air, then I'm going to be watching it on Channel 7. So that's not the preferred way to do it, of course, but that's my approach. All right. What else? I don't think I've got. Okay. And I did start working on something this week. Where did I put it? I was thinking about how there's a few drivers who are the same age, because I've got my stats on how old the drivers are, how what their achievements are, things like that. And I also worked on a thing that was like how 2026 is the first year since 1998 where they had this little experience across the board. Like the accumulated number of years of experience is the lowest it's been since 1998, which is saying something, because we've had that's almost 30 years ago. It's 28 years ago. That was the last time that we had that many young drivers or inexperienced main game drivers, because obviously they are experienced drivers. They drove in other categories. It's just their time in the main game is all accounting. So I guess I'll show that. So I'll get that experienced drivers. And then the other one is called the 1996 boys. All right. Whoop. Give it a second to wake up. I really need this computer to actually be functional today, because I need to use Photoshop, and it will die, I'm pretty sure. So I'll do the experienced drivers things first. This is the 2026 drivers achievements, which is good. There was someone on Speed Cafe complaining about how you got drivers like Macca Jones and James Golding who've never won a race and they've been around so long. And the thing that I said was, maybe they haven't had the possibility to do that. Obviously, Macca Jones is not the best driver at BJR. Otherwise, he'll be doing better than his teammates, but he doesn't seem to be able to be beating them. And Brad seems to be okay with that, and that's just the position that Macca's in. And the team is okay with that. And you don't get to decide whether it's okay or not. That's just the way it is. And money will always dictate whether something can happen or not. Stephen Johnson did have to get moved aside for 2013 because they just couldn't afford to have him in the car. They needed to be making money. And so if Brad Jones was ever in that position, then Macca would have to step aside for someone who was bringing money. But BJR are a team that seemed to be able to fund their fund their cars. Jimmy Golding is getting closer, but he hasn't been with a team that's been able to do the job. Seemed to be able to pull it out of the hat at the Enduros. One at Sandown 24, one at Bathurst 25, which has been very good. So if BRT are able to give him a competitive car, there is a chance that he could do a James Courtney job and grab a podium. Thomas Randall, I've already talked enough about Thomas Randall. And then you've got a lot of very inexperienced drivers. Kai Allen, I think, is the favourite to get a win, but there's also Cooper Murray at Erebus. I wouldn't write Erebus off. Ryland Gray at DJR, probably a bit of a stretch. Then we've got Zach Bates at MSR. I think Zach Bates could be a chance. There is a lot of talk about Zach Bates being good. And obviously Jackson Walls driving for Triple Eight. He could be good. There's a few drivers who have not won championships in other categories. Macca Jones, Brody Kostecki didn't do it until he won the main game. Ryan Wood never won a championship. Cooper Murray and Jackson Walls. But that doesn't always mean everything. So, obviously Brody Kostecki is a great example. Probably because if there was a chance that he would have won the championship in Super 2, probably was his best category to be winning championships in. It would have been 2020, but he couldn't make it happen. 2019 was also a shortened campaign, so he missed out on winning the championship there as well. You have to think Handel has to do something this year. Yes. I did a video the other week that saying that you can't just have the same 3 seasons over and over again. You have to improve. They've lost Ryland Gray and chosen to keep Thomas Randall, and they signed Randall on a 2-year deal as though he's something special. But he's got achievements in minor categories, but he hasn't got them in the main game. He hasn't won a race. He hasn't won an enduro. He got a podium in an enduro, but that was about it. And he can occasionally pull something out of the hat, but he needs to close the gap to Waters. That's what he needs to do. He needs to be not getting smashed by Waters all year long, which is what's been happening the last 3 years. He hasn't been getting closer. He's been in the same spot. And maybe Waters is getting better, but I think maybe Waters is at his peak. He can't do a whole lot better than what he's been given. Randall isn't beating his teammate. So, but they've given Randall this year and next year for some reason, and just the idea to me of him being signed on a 2-year extension, as though we don't want the Chev teams to poach Randall, that would have been embarrassing for Chev. Even all the shade thrown at Jones, he showed some improvement. Wanted him to do so well. Something's missing. Well, I like Macca. I like Macca, but maybe he just isn't it. He was a race winner in Super 2, but he wasn't better than the teammates that he's had at BJR. Percat, Slade, Heimgartner, Fullwood, Hazelwood. He's been up against guys who've won championships or won races in other categories, have been really good. And so maybe it's a bit much to expect Macca to be that guy. But I do want to see him do well. In 2023, I think 23 was his best year. He'd be better as co-driver in a top team. I think everybody looks better as a co-driver in a top team. If we think of Scott Pye, people thought Scott Pye wasn't that good, and he went to Triple Eight, and he was immediately doing a great job. And he started his podcast. He's been outspoken about this is what it's like in the sport. You're only as good as the team you're in and the car you've got. And unless you're making mistakes or something, then yeah, well, there you go. Stanaway is another example. Stanaway was better at Groves compared to Premier, but Groves are a better team than Premier. He did have a rough end to the season, and he was getting better as 2024 went on, but Stanaway definitely looked really good at Tickford and at Triple Eight as an enduro driver. So, yeah. And I think that people will think how great's Percat when he's driving with Brock Feeney this year as well. And Hazelwood as well. Hazelwood's another example of, oh, how good's Hazelwood? Hazelwood was always good. He's just been at teams that aren't great. He was driving for mid-pack or back market teams, and then he got picked to go to Erebus and drove with Brody and won Bathurst. So, and that's, yeah, everyone looks good when they're driving for a top team or with a top driver. So, yeah, it's always going to be like that. There are plenty of drivers. I think I did a video in 2023 talking about David Reynolds, and he was saying, not David, but I got a comment from David Reynolds' brother saying David Reynolds would do better if he was in a top team, like a genuine top team. And the only time that I can think of that he was in a top team and was a first or second car was Groves at the end of 23. They were a top team. And then he got moved on because they wanted to give him a 1-year deal. And so he wanted a multi-year deal. And that was the end of that. So he chose to go to Team 18 and not get podiums rather than stay at Groves and win races. So, you know, that's the choice. So, yeah, and there's also other drivers like I think Cameron McConville's another driver where he drove for a lot of mid-pack teams, and when he was driving for more of a top team like HRT, then he was getting great results. But that was only when he was an endurance driver. It's kind of like an NASCAR thing. We have career midfield drivers in a semi-spec series which have no chance. They just spend their whole career trying to get top 20s. Yeah, exactly. That people, a bit like Bryce Forward is another example. He lost his seat, and he was doing a great job at BJR, and he was pretty good at Walkinshaw, but he wasn't what they wanted. And now he's moved on, and so you do wonder if he was at a better team, maybe he would have done a better job. Or maybe not necessarily that he wasn't doing a good enough job, but it's difficult because sometimes you do have exceptional drivers who drive for teams that aren't very good, and drag and seem to get a lot more out of the car than their teammate, and then they go to the top teams. Like what Craig Lowndes was able to do at FPR. Jamie Whincup wasn't that kind of driver. Jamie got better as the years went on because he just put the hard work in. I want to say Scott McLaughlin because he just destroyed his teammates every year, especially in the Volvo years. No one could get close. But then there's also this thing about GRM is that they build the car around the one driver, the lead driver. So the other driver doesn't really have that chance of getting closer because everything's about that one driver. But they're also a pretty low budget team. So Jamie talked about how he was given number 1 status at Triple Eight. He might have just earned that though. What year did he say that was? And was that in his book? Or was that like a quote? 2008. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because obviously he won the championship in 2008, but he was actually better than Lowndes. He was out qualifying him in '07 and winning more races. He was doing a much better job. So it makes sense that he earned that top dog spot, because Lowndes was supposed to be, he comes second in the championship 2 years in a row. '07 comes along, he's supposed to be the guy, but straight away Jamie's immediately out qualifying and out racing him. So, and obviously they paired up in the Triple Eight at Bathurst and the Enduros, but Jamie was the one who was qualifying the car, and I think from 2008 onwards, yeah, he's the guy. But it's interesting. Some teams don't have a number one and number two status, and sometimes I think that that's not exactly the right way to do it. But sometimes it's better if you want to win the team's championship. You want your number two to be up the front as well, but the number one has to be somebody who's being exceptional. And number one status usually means where not that they're giving you the best people, but you're the driver who's the fastest, and they're going to make sure that you have the best thing that you need. Walkinshaw have it, but Triple Eight don't. What do you mean? I think Walkinshaw have said for many years that they've got a equal car philosophy. I don't know if that's been said about Ryan Wood. It's obvious that Chaz is more experienced. That's why he's just sort of he's the senior driver. Whereas Triple Eight these days, you could say Brock Feeney's number one, but he's just doing a better job than Will Brown. And Will Brown won the championship not last year, 2024. Like a 1-2 system. Wood is great number two. Woody was a great number two in the finals because he had to, because he got knocked out so early when he had that fuel flow issue. And then they did a really crappy strategy in the second race at Gold Coast and compromised his position, so he wasn't able to get even close to winning the race. They were just banking on a safety car pretty much. Feeney is OP. Yeah, Feeney is the next Wing Cup. Feeney, and that's another thing about what I love about the 88 and the Triple Eight that we've got this year. Lowndes has handed that Triple Eight to Brown. Feeney has been faster than Brown every year that they've been teammates, but Feeney was not quite getting the job done as well in 2024. That's why he lost the championship. But in 25, he tidied it all up. His qualifying was so much better, and his racing was so much better. He was a lot more focused. Feeney is another Wing Cup. He's just found it harder to win the championship these last few years. And that's, yeah. Lineup is beneficial to Mostert. Toyota, if they wanted, could maybe bring a Brown or someone in. Wood needs time, so. Yeah, but Wood was out qualifying Mostert last year. So I think that there's a chance that he could continue that. I think, and the thing is about Will Brown is that Brown's only had the best drivers in the category as teammates, Brodie Kostecki and Brock Feeney, and both of those guys are incredible operators. That Brodie went to DJR and made that car do what it needed to do, just not on a consistent basis, and versus being at Brock Feeney, who has been molded into a perfect Triple Eight driver. Obviously, that's Toyota. See, Wood is solid but needs time. Yeah, and Woody made mistakes last year. Bad starts, not quite able to tune the car to being a race-winning package or able to drag it up to a podium like Mostert is able to do. But yeah, Woody needs time. It was only his second year last year, but he showed that he could have been a lot further up in the championship than those mechanical failures and pit stop issues caused. So he possibly could have been in the grand final ahead of Kai Allen. But we don't know. I could have a go at looking at those numbers. But yeah, Toyota, they might want to put Cameron Hill at Walkinshaw if Mostert moved along. Do I think GRM in trouble now? Who will be the GM guy? Anton. Anton's the GM guy. He was last year. And then I think there's a chance. I want to say Cooper Murray because Cooper showed that he was very fast, and on his day he was in the mix for a great result. And so obviously GM do not have the stacked lineup that Ford have got or that Toyota have got. So it's going to be, they've got a bit of a mountain to climb. But there's so many unknowns really. Premier have made changes. They've got Ojeda and Fraser, so we don't know what's going to happen with them. They could do better. We know that on their day they're in the 10, but it's just so inconsistent. Erebus is going to be difficult to get lap time. I think that Erebus had fast cars, but the drivers kept making mistakes. That's my theory on what happened last year. That they had a few times when in qualifying and in shootouts, LeBrock and Murray made mistakes, and in the races, LeBrock and Murray made mistakes, and that cost them results. So it's not like they were completely nailing everything all year long. They were just, as in, they weren't getting the most out of their cars. They obviously they're in a bit of a compromised position because they lost a few people, but and then they're bringing up some more people, so they're going to be in a better position this year. And time again, Erebus are that team that will rise out of the ashes and get back up the front. They've done it twice. They did it when they switched from Mercedes to Holden and signed David Reynolds, went up the front, lost both drivers, both engineers, signed 2 drivers, 2 engineers. The 2021 return was better because they were able to get great engineers and possibly great drivers as well. And I think LeBrock deserved going to Erebus, but he sort of showed that maybe he wasn't. He's not a Brown or a Kostecki. Murray has got what it takes, I think, but he needs more time. So I think Erebus are going to be a bit of a dark horse. People aren't going to expect them to be good, but I think there's a good chance that they could be really good. Who else have we got in the Chev fold? So we've got Anton, and Anton did a great job in 2025. Just consistent top 10s and grabbing some podiums, and he's just like a fresh element of Team 18 with Anton and Andrew Donnelly. They made that such an exciting thing for that team, and they were able to get some great results. So I think Anton's going to be the lead GM driver. I think Cooper could. It'd be difficult to say he's going to be the next best. Then you've also got LeBrock at MSR and Zach Bates at MSR, and I think it's probably a safer bet that MSR will be the second best GM team. I'd probably say LeBrock is going to be the second best early in the season. And what we saw at Erebus last year was that LeBrock was better than Murray until late in the year when Murray started to get better than LeBrock. So I think that Murray could actually use this off-season as a chance to do a lot of work on himself and come back better and really deliver some incredible performances. So yeah, I think Murray could be good. He's tuned out a lot of the dumb mistakes and the aggressive moves that cost him results. And I can't remember, something happened at Adelaide with Cooper Murray. And that was such a great looking car, and he put it in the shootout, and then something happened, and I think somebody punted him off, and it was the end of it for him. And then they just didn't have the pace the next day. So yeah, Anton, Cooper Murray, Jack LeBrock, Zach Bates, and then probably Fraser and Ojeda. Is that everyone? I think that's all of the Chev drivers. Oh, Reynolds. Reynolds is such a maybe because we saw last year that he sort of struggled a lot, but he did come out recently and talk about what his issue was. They were having issues with the steering racks or something like that, and getting the setups right to be closer to Anton, and then he ended up just going his own way. And that same sort of issue happened at Premiere actually with Stanaway and Golding, where Stanaway tried to go down the Triple Eight route and try to do Triple Eight philosophies, and it didn't really work. And so he ended up doing his own thing, and they developed their own way and got better. So yeah, it's going to be difficult. Reynolds seems to be excited about this year. He thinks that he can win a race. So seems to be a guy who needs the car a certain way and can't drive around it. Yeah, it's difficult because in 2025 he was up against Anton. 2024 he was up against Frosty, and in 2024 Frosty, when he qualified up the front, he could race up the front, but he couldn't race up the front when he qualified down the back, whereas Reynolds could do that. And so that's what happened in 24, whereas in 25 Anton just sort of brought a lot more excitement and enthusiasm, open outlook, whatever it was. He comes into the team, he has no idea what's going on. He just does whatever he needs to do. And sometimes drivers are like that. They rock up at a team, they don't change anything, and they just drive the car. And they just do it the way they need to do it. And that's difficult. So I think Reynolds can be very up and down. He was a bit like that at Erebus, whereas when things started to go wrong in 2020, he just fell down the order in the championship. Whereas Anton didn't seem to have an issue. He was getting better and better, and ended up in the top 10 of the championship. Reynolds ended up outside of it. Yeah, some guys sort of struggle to get around issues, and maybe it just takes longer because when you are part of a team when you're the driver, or when just being any kind of person in the team, so you have to talk to your other members of the team about, I think we should do this, and they go, oh no, I think we should continue down this path, and so you're going to have that sort of conversation going all year long. Like, oh no, I think we can get closer and closer. But the biggest thing that Scott Pye said about Triple Eight compared to every other team that Scott Pye had been at, which was Walkinshaw, Team 18, Lucas Dumbrell, and DJR Team Penske, and DJR before that, is that those teams seem to chase their own tail a lot, and Triple Eight don't chase their own tail. They do absolutely everything they need to do, and they have everything written down to the minute. They're extremely organized, and I think SVG talked about it, where he said they just used to they would have the longest debriefs. What happened? Why did this happen? What's going on here? What's going on there? And spend so much time analyzing what's going on so that they know exactly what they are doing. And I think a lot of the other teams don't know exactly what they're doing. Even though you see videos of Team 18 tire people, the tire guys. Like you look at what they do and you go, that's amazing. How do they do that? And just as an outsider, you just go, how do they do that? So I think Triple Eight are just that good that most of the grid pales in comparison. And so everybody who goes to Triple Eight looks a lot better when they go there. I think SVG talked about when Andrew Edwards went to Triple Eight, and they're like, no, we just need you to engineer the car. We don't need you to tell us how to run the team. We've got other people for that. Kostecki in the sprint car on the weekend. Shane says the best driver prospect to go to NASCAR will be Waters. Who's next to go out of supercars? I think the only one I can think of it was Randall. Or are you talking about leaving in general? As in going to a different category? I think it's a lot less common. I think we see it. We've only seen one driver go to a category, or actually we've seen two drivers leave the category full time, going to the US. Yeah, so over the years we've just seen Ambrose, McLaughlin, and SVG, and that's it. It's hard to find someone who's going to go there full time. We did see SVG managed to do it, but he was able to make it happen for whatever reason, was lucky to go drive for Trackhouse, and they were able to get a deal together because, I don't know, SVG is a Red Bull driver, but Brock Feeney hasn't been able to go to NASCAR. So, yeah. And Feeney also, they drove a Formula One car at the Bend, and Feeney was faster than Brown. There was also Jack Perkins, who drove the Xfinity car at Portland and did a really good job. Ingle telling you the biggest regret in his life was going to Europe and not the US. Yeah, and that's a difficult thing. When I think both are probably hard to crack. There's been a few drivers in supercars history who had to go at America or had to go at Europe, and a lot of the times, most of the time, they didn't make it to. Well, obviously, everybody who didn't end up in supercars made it to Formula One instead. Crompton, is that what you mean? Biggest regret. Yeah, because Engel did end up in, I don't remember exactly what. I think he did British F3. Scott Pye did British F3 as well. Crompton went to the US. Yeah, Crompo had a few IndyCar tests, Indy Lights test, or something like that. But he did do a season in what was called the North American Touring Car Championship, where they basically drove super touring cars, and they did that for 2 years, I think. And when Crompo was there, when he didn't even do full time in 1997. I think it was 97. He was dominant. He was really good. SCCA, and he smashed it. Is that what it is? SCCA? Is that what it was called? I thought it was called in. All right, well, but I'll take your word for it. Yeah, but I don't think I think I looked into it. I actually watched a race maybe a month ago. He missed a couple rounds, but yeah, when he was there, he smashed him. But when it comes to going to Europe, you need money. You need enough money to keep doing it. To go to America is really hard to crack as well, because again, you need money. And then also everybody who's there has been, and America is such a different scene because we don't run cars like that. We don't run a NASCAR championship or an IndyCar like championship in Australia. So we've just got we don't have an equivalent. So when one of ours goes there, they've kind of got to completely adapt. Um, and so I think that freshness can also play into Aussie drivers' skill sets, but it can also be like if, I think is it Nathan Hearn who went to and did TA2 in America, and it's a different scene to what it is in Australia because I think they just keep on throwing money at it in America, whereas in Australia it's a bit more regulated. Sure, there's so much opportunity in the US. Look at McFadden and Madsen and those guys. Even Powell was talking the other day. Stay in Europe and pay or go to the US and get paid. Okay. Yeah, well, I guess there's that too. McFadden and Madsen and those guys. Those IndyCar. Um, and then you've also got who's the other guy? Is he a Kiwi? What's his name? McElroy, Hunter McElroy in America. He was in Indy Lights and he was doing really well. I don't know if he's still there. I don't really focus a lot on the American scene. I just sort of have a vague idea of who's doing what and who's where. And I used to watch a couple races when McLaughlin first went in, and it would show up on live free to air as well, and that was great. So, but yeah, the fact that you can get paid to race in America is great. I don't know if they get paid much though, but yeah, you can actually get a living wage. Another thing in Tier 2, you even have Vito Mira and stuff. Okay. So I assume Vito Mira is a driver. So you got I think that's just another great thing about what you've got in America is you got a lot of overseas people having a go. You'll have a European, you have an America, you have a Mexican or a Brazilian, especially in IndyCar. We were doing Grand Am and getting expenses, no chance in Europe. Okay, did you used to race? Did you? Grand Am. What's Grand Am? I'm curious. I wanna look that up. Grand Am racing. Uh-huh. All right, so is that like production car, like in pre-production? Road racing. A tad, yes. 30K a year. And that'd be 30K American, so that's almost enough to live on as well. But I suppose if it was done like long enough ago, 30K would have been a lot. And that would have covered your racing, but also racing's really expensive, so if it just covered your racing, you might have been all right. But then if you have crashes or something, then your expenses blow out. Like sports cars. Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing here. Or that I'm seeing. Actually, I gotta show it. Yeah. So they are like a race car, not just like you don't just buy a road car and improve it. Yeah, they're all custom built race cars. It's like 15 years ago. Yeah, and that's the thing. You've got like the economies change and things. Lots of things change, but yeah, it's just what was easier in times gone versus what's easy now. It's different. Even like I've been getting involved in well, not involved, but I've met some people in doing Hyundai XLs, and they I think he said you only had to pay like $100 or $200 a year So what does the 24-hour of Daytona? Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Although I think in that page I was looking at, it doesn't exist anymore. Maybe it like 3 or 4 drivers a car. Yeah, I think it's the 24-hour of Daytona these days GT3. Like like what does the Bathurst 12-hour and GT World Challenge and things like that, and the World Endurance Driver Championship. I think yeah, I don't know. I don't watch a lot of that sort of stuff. But I as a racing fan, I a lot of the categories I follow, I understand in a like a peripheral thing. There are a lot of manufacturers in GT at the moment, which is interesting because you do wonder what they get out of it. Totally different now. I remember starting in Japan was easy as after I left, we had Kovalainen and Jensen Button. All right, yeah. So suddenly the money starts coming in, and yeah, Daytona has Le Mans prototypes. Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Le Mans prototypes. It's the because you got the American Le Mans series, and you've got what's the other one? Yeah, there's a few. I wonder how different all those cars are, if they are that different. They probably are. It's like a little like different, but maybe some parts are different. I do want, yeah. Oh, that is interesting. 'Cause I was looking at a few categories we're talking about how much it costs to race Super 2, um, and then how much it costs to race, how much it's expected to cost to race Mustang Cup, Dark Horse Cup, because we're just having its first season this year, and then there's also GT4. And Super 2 is way more expensive than GT4 and Mustang Cup, because I heard GT4 and Mustang Cup were expensive, and then no, Super 2 cost millions or something like that. Money came in, pushed everyone out. How good is Josh Backer in World TCC? That must be so hard. Yeah, what did he do? I saw him pop up recently, because obviously he came from the Australian scene. Josh Backer, but he did news, I guess. Rocked up in, okay, he's just done Daytona. IMSA TCR podium. Nice. Yeah, he's really good in that. I think he did the World TCR thing at the Bend. Yeah, Macau Grand Prix. Yeah. Yeah. Although I think the proper it's interesting with the because that's a TCR race, but then I guess there's the actual Macau GP is like an F3 or F Formula something else car. I need is something to tell me what kind of cars are running on at the moment. Formula 3. Hang on. It did do that. So, yeah, but what cars? Yeah, it's a Formula 3 race. That's what I thought it was. Yeah. And that was the last one. That's so what's hang on, I'm getting confused. Is the touring car class? Yeah. So obviously that's the Formula 3 one. So they must have done it as a way to make it a bigger event. What's the actual overall event called then? Hyundai, yeah. There's the actual race, and then there's the event. That's sort of weird. Macau Grand Prix event. They call it the Macau Grand Prix, and that's an event, but they don't say Macau Grand Prix TCR. Alright, yeah. This is what it is, apparently. Very weird. Yeah, so here he is. With Ed Bjork, or is that a Source World TCR? Yeah. In 22 it was... Oh, they did it during COVID. It was an Asian thing. It's interesting. Forgot the name. Yeah. Yeah, World TCR. What's that category on the right? Third place. Oh, okay. Who cares who came third? No one cares. There's Yvonne Muller, 2018. Gia race. Yeah, Guya race, I think. Or maybe it's a silent U. Okay, yeah, so it's a different event as a touring car race. And then you got the other one, which is the Macau Grand Prix. And I didn't show that again. That's annoying. I'm sorry. Yeah. Am I still showing the entire screen? Probably not. So I constantly get rid of the screen. Yeah. So Josh, I think that the great thing about TCR and World TCR is that it's highly regulated. The Falcon Gia. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well it said GUIA. So I don't really know how to pronounce that. I want to say Guya, but I don't know. But yeah, maybe if I watched it, they would tell me if it's Gia. So it could be just the way they pronounce a U in China. I didn't actually see what the name was for. So yeah, no, but Josh Barkane is good. I think he's a multiple time Australian TCR champion as well. Josh Barkane, 23. He won the 23 championship in TCR. And I think he also won other races. I don't know if we had much. Oh no, he's won. Yeah, so he won 24 as well. And then he won 25, but we had, most of the season was cancelled. There was the Bend, and then there's Macau. And they're counting that as TCR. That's funny. I think it's GIYA. Okay, well, Macau. Yeah, what's they got the? Yeah, it says GUIA. Held on the temporary Gia circuit. Why is it called there? Why is it called that? Obviously, Macau is a city. And the motorcycle GP apparently. It's had quite a few races at this track. Oh, that track. This corner has had so many accidents. I think it's just weirdly tight. Oh my god. I wouldn't mind going to Macau. I think Macau's one of those races. Probably, especially, I don't even know if you want to watch the F3 race, if you want to watch the TCR race, but probably go in general just to watch the races, but especially that corner. But it would cost so much money to get to get a ticket for that grandstand. At the end, 2 major grandstands along the pit straight and at the Lisboa bend. So, ooh. Oh. Formula 4 Grand Prix circuit. Oh wait, Bernd Schneider. That's a name I've heard before. But why do they call it? Why do they call it the Gia circuit? Well, I'm going to Google that. I think GUIA. Gia circuit, Gia fortress, China. Oh, hang on, Macau. The Gia fortress, I guess, is what it's named after. Probably yeah. I guess it must be maybe it's a Portuguese name. That's not telling me anything about the history. Already partly built during. It's weird. 17th century colonial military fort, chapel, lighthouse complex. I guess that's what it's named after. Stands at Gia Hill. I'm gonna keep digging. We might find something. I just want to know if is it Chinese or is it Portuguese? Could be Portuguese. Portuguese guide. It's just another name, another. Then, but why do they have it in China? I guess they must have just copied something over. Down the rabbit hole. Yeah, down the rabbit hole. Like, why is it called the Gia race? Anyway, that's that. But yeah, Josh Buchan looks like every time he jumps in the TCR car, he wins. Did the world tour? He's won. All right, it's getting confusing there. Great race, like a Chinese calypso. Yeah, it might be worth watching. I probably get pinged for it to watch the 2025 one, but if I watch one that's old enough, we could probably enjoy it. He's quite good in the world tour there, but he didn't do all of it. He's still 11th in the championship. He must have done better than some people who were full time. Nah. There's Will Brown as well. He replaced. Now, when it says China, it says the Jiu-Jitsu circuit, and that was last year. I forgot Will Brown did that. Cody Bircher did a bit too. Zach Sutar. What's Zach Sutar doing again? GT4. Jordan Cox as well. Macau is a Portuguese colony. Yeah, I know that. Yeah. Quite a few people doing World TCR. And then there's a bunch of Mexicans. For the Mexican race. Okay, that's why. Interesting. But then there's some touring car veterans like Ved Bjork. He's not really a veteran, is he? 2000. Okay, yeah, I think he is actually. He has been around a long time. He's 45. I did a bit of research on the Scandinavian Touring Car Championship. And so when TCR came to Australia, I was like, oh, this is that same thing that's going on in Europe. And then they destroyed it, unfortunately. I'd be surprised if it exists next year in Australia. Did a bit for Zagami. 24, 25. And a 12-hour. First in class? Yeah, first in class. And he's just done Daytona, of course, for Brian Herder Autosport, which is interesting. That could be, remember there's TCC. Yeah. I think it's struggling at the moment. I think the Scandinavian Touring Car Championship is struggling because all the manufacturers pulled out. 45 is not that old. I think. What was I looking at? Was it Greg? It was Greg Crick. I think I was looking at. Some people keep on racing until they can't race any longer, and they go into their 80s. But if they're still competitive, they're fine. Did see a clip the other day of what was it? Richard Mork, who's just he's been in the Australian scene for a long time. He used to race main game supercars occasionally, and then Super 2 for a little bit, and then V8 touring cars, and then just V8 utes and all sorts of stuff. And I saw a clip of somebody saying he's holding me up and he's driving like an idiot, and just sort of like, I think he ended up getting punted or something. Sprint car drivers are old. Truck driver, Richard Mork. Was Richard Mork a truck driver in Australia? I don't know. It'd be hard to. Oh, geez, he is old, isn't he? Sprint car drivers are old. Yeah. I think it's just a different sort of scene. I think they've got maybe a good mix of young and old. I don't know. I've never been to a sprint race. Crick. Yeah, Greg Crick was one I was looking at. He retired. Well, I saw an article. Announced his retirement after 40 years. A race truck driver? I don't know. Racing truck. Not seeing anything about trucks. Rodney Crick was the truck champion. That's the one. So I don't know if so Cameron Crick is the son of Rodney Crick, Australian truck champion. So but maybe Greg Crick did a bit of it. Depends. Hang on, if I look Crick family, Crick racing family. Rodney Crick, yeah. So 6-time truck champion. His son Cameron Crick. I think that Greg Crick might be different, maybe. Not directly father son. So they're not really they might be related, but yeah. No no straight connection. And raced at Bathurst. But yeah, Cam Crick's the one doing Super 2 at the moment. And also did a couple of enduros. He's great. He's he's like a Aussie battler sort of guy that you love to see. There's that. What else? Where was I going? There was something I wanted to look at, which is this 1996 boys thing that I started, because I noticed that there are three supercars drivers born in the same year. So I wanted to look into when they started and what their journey was, because they didn't come to the main game at the same time. Like Jimmy Golding kind of beeline for supercars, so he got in first. Thomas Randall went down the Formula One path, ended up in Europe doing British F3, and then went back to New Zealand, did Toyota Racing Series, and won the championship there, and then did Super 2. The cash sort of dried up there, whereas Cameron Hill spent a lot of time in Carrera Cup, taking a different path. So maybe he didn't have the money to get into Super 2 or something. And obviously Super 2 is more expensive. So interesting how I think Golding obviously had an association with Gary Rogers, so they were able to provide him an opportunity, whereas Cameron Hill maybe didn't have that kind of association with a Super 2 team, and so he struggled. But Jimmy also did his apprenticeship. I think he's a mechanic, or is he a fabricator? James Golding apprenticeship. Mechanic. I thought he was a mechanic. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So, yeah, that was how Golding, they said he would ride his bike to the workshop, he'd ride his bike, catch the train, and get to work at GRM, and then he got his opportunities to drive. And sometimes there are quite a few examples of drivers who that's how they got their opportunities, is that they'd be the sticker man, they would be working on the cars, they would be selling cars, they'd be doing whatever it takes. And eventually, because obviously the boss knew that they were racing, he was a GRM mechanic. He even repaired his teammate. Oh god, what was his teammate's name? Gotta go to here. What was his freaking name? But his Super 2 teammate, he would like repair his panel damage and fix his cars and stuff like that. So we go to 2016. Richard Muscat. When they were teammates in 2016, Jimmy will be fixing Muscat's cars. I think you can also see I think I'm watching the 2015 season, and you can see Jimmy Golding being in like, it's like a speedway path, working at the shop, and then like that. So many late model guys start like that. Yeah, well, it's probably the easiest way to get in terms of you don't have to have a lot of money. If you just be part of the crew and the car's got a sponsor, eventually there's a chance that you'll get that opportunity. And obviously you want to be hustling a bit, trying to get your own sponsors so that you can make that opportunity happen. So many late model guys start like that. Yeah, it is. it's a good and honest path, I think. Otherwise, you're just spending huge amounts of money just racing until eventually somebody gives you the chance. Whereas with Golding, maybe there isn't that much money, and so you have to do this hard working approach. And the great thing with Gary Rogers is that was sort of the way he liked things, is that all of the guys at GRM, all the drivers were expected to come and work for the team during the weekdays and then race the car on the weekend. Holdsworth, Bargwanna, Tander, those guys would work at Gary Rogers' car, his secondhand car shop and super sedan. Do you mean is it super sedan? No, is that a thing, or am I thinking of what's the thing that Thomas Randall was doing? Something sedan, speed sedan. Oh, hang on, it says it in my thing. Sports sedan. So, but sports sedan, I saw one race at Thailand Bend as part of the supercars event, and they just sort of chucked all sorts of cars in there. So it's not really something you can make money out of. I think maybe that's why the Australian scene is so different from what you got in America, where you get paid to race. The dirt late model of Australia. Okay. I saw Mr. Dusty did a video. I haven't seen it yet because I keep forgetting that he's done it. I can't remember what they called it. I'm gonna find it. Mr. Dusty. It's Dusty Racing. Yeah, street stocks. That's what he's doing. I haven't seen it yet, but it's just it's the affordable dirt racing category. That's gonna be cool. I haven't been to a speedway race before, but it would be good to see. I've got a track not too far away from where I live, so it'd be good to go to one day. What else? Did that. And I think I finished talking about these 1996 boys. It's just everyone takes a different path to get into top line motorsport, and you do wonder that if it takes them until like they get to like 30 street stockers below super sedans, but the same. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't really know that. I think I looked into it, and then there's a lot of different like state versions and national version. But yeah, super sedan. I think sometimes with the grassroots categories is that they don't explain a lot about what's going on. Grew up next to Parramatta Speedway, raced a ton there. Is Parramatta Speedway the one that what's his name? Old commentator. Mike Raymond, he used to commentate, I think, at Parramatta Speedway. And they is it that one? And they used to call it the place of pace or something like that. And I think that's where Neil Crompton used to go to as well. I think I actually found I used to volunteer at a history. What was it? At the history trust for South Australia, and there was a pamphlet that was for like a speedway event or something, and it was crazy. Just like I think it was like an old like blueprint, black and white, just tells you when and where, and that was cool to see. Mike Raymond, Andy Raymond, and now Wade Auger. Nice. Yeah, I think I don't know where I had this thing, but I found it, and there was a few cool things that I found. There was like a 1981, 1983 Bathurst annual sort of thing, talking about how the 1000 went down. But not a lot of racing stuff. But yeah, growing up next to a speedway, that's cool. Darrell Eastlake. The name rings a bell. Was Darrell Eastlake a motorbike racer? Is that who I'm thinking of? And he raced that Darrell East. I might be a bit young for it, because maybe. Okay, no, I don't. I do recognize the name. He must have done something that I know his name from. Nine's World of Sports. That's what it is. It's a name that's just sort of popped up. He called the World Championship bike racing. Okay, that might be it. And presented Formula One races with Alan Jones. Yeah, commentator. Yeah. I'm 29, so I don't. A lot of these names I've learned about as I've grown up, and I've gotten more into motorsport. But I don't. So a lot of the names. A lot of the names I don't know, like some of his supercar calls. All right. What did he commentate supercars? Did he? For the Nines Wide World of Sports, so he must have done Darrell Eastlake, ATCC. If I try that, there, 1992 Australian Grand Prix. So that's probably why I have heard the name then, because I've watched a lot of these things. All right. Oh, that's only half the race. I did watch this. This is weird. They're like a Group A thing. Darrell Eastlake and Alan Jones. I don't think. Oh, I think I've seen that. I've seen it coked off his head. Here. Alright, we'll mute that.
Watch the start. This will be good. Johnny Bow will want to be there. Larry Perkins will do it. The BMW will get swallowed up. The GTS should come off the line like a rocket. Here we go. Richards puts the power down. Gets a little sideways down block.
Oh my God.
Squeezes up and takes Larry Perkins on side by side. Brazila gets a good start. Oh, Perkins gets hustle and bustle and push back a bit. Plenty of push and shove going on.
He's got a great voice. I love his passion. It's brilliant. Who have they got? Who's the other guy? That's Scafey? Yeah, it's Scafey. Maybe race one was it? Might be a different one. And this is the old style Adelaide track too. Because I'm from Adelaide, so that's my home track, the Adelaide Street Circuit. Man, when that turbo kicks in, he's coming up close. Oh, Barry was brilliant. So many of like late 90s, early 2000s supercar stuff. He was so passionate. Just great to listen to. Well, do they both commentate MotoGP? They must have done. I think Barry did a bit of commentary because he retired in like 70s or something. He had an accident.
Tony will be the most affected by the performance of the other cars because the race is shorter. The bigger cars will be going better, and Tony will be coming back in the field a little bit. High speed train now as they make their way round this very, very demanding track here with touring cars, walls everywhere. You have a moment like Glenn Seaton had yesterday. El Bango, big problem.
El Bango. Oh, that's good. Barry and Dale on the bikes for a crack up. Nice. That'd be good to see.
Jimmy Richards, smooth as silk this fellow. Johnny Bow will really start to test him out under brakes at the end of the circuit. Thomas Mazzera, I think, has done a fabulous job to get the car there in front of Larry Perkins.
Thomas Mazzera wasn't too bad. Of course, he stuck it up in third.
Yeah, and just there now, you'll probably see Brock go past.
Yeah, the mobile one.
So, here we go. We've got a bit of action on him with a bit of heaving.
He just gets closer late and he can't get around him. He needs to get up the inside. But I reckon Jimmy's not going to let him go through. Yeah.
So Jim would come back to first slot and just come out of there with the four-wheel drive characteristics makes a big difference. Evenly matched here on the streets of Adelaide. The Sierra.
Good time, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. As you can see, Bowie's doing a great job. He's hooked Thomas Mazzera and the boys. Wheels locked. Richo up on the rebel strip. Larry Perkins locked them all up. And blue smoke pumping out from the rubber. As they come on to lap 3.
1 a.m. in Europe, so I'm off to be. Yeah, well, thanks for joining and thanks for having a chat. Yeah, have a good sleep.
This is great stuff with Jim and John Bow having such a hard run there at the moment. Thomas Mazzera and Larry Perkins are both catching, so it'll be a 4-car struggle in a minute. I would think Johnny Harvey might have given Thomas Mazzera a little tickle up last night because he was not happy with their performance when he and Brad Jones came together and took each other out of the race. So Thomas Mazzera fired up in the big hole in the day in the black and white car running in third spot. That's the view Larry Perkins has of that really big spoiler on the back of the car.
Dick Johnson.
So it's interesting there. That's the 93 car spec that Thomas Mazzera is in. And Larry's is the 92 car that he's been running all year. So basically, that's the cars you'll see next year in the Commodore sets. The cars Thomas is in. Alan Jones is up to 13.
Show mates telling my thing stats on stats. Yeah. That's next time. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Same time next week.
Jimmy Richards has Johnny Bow all over him like the proverbial wet blanket from behind. Barry is really monstering him everywhere he can. Yeah, the big advantage here now, as I said before, is really the traction of the car. So Bowie can get alongside in places, but Richo's slowing him up. You watch him here, slows him up, gasses it out of the slow corner, gets it. Well, put it on the strip a little bit too much, but usually the exit there is very, very good, and that's the advantage the car's got. Yeah, Jimmy Richards is no.
He's got the straight line speed, but he can't get past.
Johnny Bow sits in behind him again. Mazzera is getting the benefit out of all of this because while they're dicing, he's closing the gap. And he's now made.
Well, Mazzera might get past Bow, but he's not going to get past Richo.
BMW coming back with a contention. He certainly caught up a little too. Tony Longhurst. Yeah, Tony's got free of let it rock there, so now he's out on his own. And while these guys are dicing, probably Tony's going as fast as anybody else in the race. But now he's by himself, as you can see. He's really pressing on around that left hand of it. Love these cars around the streets of Adelaide. They are something else, aren't they? They are great, aren't they? They really are a spectacle because it's such a good circuit to drive around. And the cars obviously slip and slide so much that they're really fantastic. A big crowd turned out to see the Ford Holden battle. Well, of course, the Ford of Dickie Johnson's came here to Adelaide just 2.5 days after being rebuilt. Actually, it's the second car that they've developed. It is over the weight limit at the moment, a lot more development to happen on the car, and it had only had 11 laps around the Lakeside circuit before getting here to Adelaide. So a little bit hard to expect a position Well, better than what he's doing now in 10th spot, but it's an exciting looking motor car. Well, it is. The car's so new, and all these other cars that are in front of him have been here for a fair few years, so they're very highly developed, where Nick's car is obviously very, very new, so, it's a big achievement to get it to where it is. His second car, of course...
Very, very new. It's a 1992 Sierra. Should be good.
We mentioned yesterday that perhaps the Asian market will see the GTS start racing over in that area. That would hurt you a little bit because you really developed this car. It was your baby. Well, yeah, it does a little bit, but see, what happens in Japan and Asia is they'll run for one more year at the current touring car specs that we've got. So the GTRs will be sold over there. They're the best GTRs in the world. So, the Japanese would love them. Okay, looking at the Dick Johnson car now, the yellow front, it's unusual to see in those colours. The red and yellow on the car represents the shell and blue, the Ford.
So number 9. Channel 9 on that one.
He tucks in for Simon Mazera now and wants a little bit of the action. He wants
Mazera can't kick. He's losing there. Bob Jane team up. Oh, that's what we're looking at. Number 11. I was like, that doesn't look like a 7. Nine World of Sports. 1991 World of Sports was all because that's a season that I've watched, and it's a great season. There's a lot of interesting dynamics going on with different tires, different cars, and the music as well. Very very old style. I love it. Is Perko going to get close enough? He wants that Castrol sponsorship. Which I think he did get for 93. That's why he was able to set up his race team. Well, that's why he was able to expand to 2 cars. So they offload Castrol, and then they get Mobile for 1994 HRT. What do you mean surprised? He's driving for his own team. It's underfunded, underdeveloped, and run by someone else, which I think was his manager. Oh, was that Toyota Celica? Is that what that was? I think that would have been the end of that one. Oh. Turn 8. Oh, he might get him. Oh, not quite. Oh, no. He's getting closer. Oh.
Obviously, you can't get too much less than that. We're shooting pumps of smoke. The brakes are locked up. Mazera would be a sweaty little chappy at the moment. He's got one of the most experienced touring car drivers in Australia, giving you a total workout here. Circuits in this country. Lap 7. Oh, what a beauty.
She's got a great voice, Daryl. He's like.
Very, very good because it hasn't affected the result of it at all. Here we go. We've left over the ripple strip and we didn't slow down very much at all. Almost launched her. She goes up now. Perkins.
Oh, how did he get him? He just went. He must have really pushed hard through the chicane. Well, they both got Castrol on. Just not a lot of Castrol.
Eyes up on the leading two, Johnny Bow, and of course Jimmy Richards. We've forgotten about them. They're in shot now. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can see there. Not a lot in it. We've been on that dice because it's been all the action.
Yeah, the same thing that happened earlier in the race when Jim and Bauer were torturing each other. Everybody caught them. Then when Thomas and Larry had their little act going on, Jim and John Bauer have been able to get away. So, when they dice, you lose probably a second and a half a lap.
Could be a Corolla as well. They race Corollas
Here we go now. Jimmy
at one
Richards
point.
coming around. 4 laps to go.
It's so slow. They're like, why would you bother?
Murray Walker, I'd really like to get a quick comment of Murray just to see what he thinks of these cars around the streets.
Well, it's absolutely fabulous because we've got a
Imagine fanging fanging a Hyundai XL around the Adelaide Street circuit up against modern supercars. You'd be struggling.
Sitting here loving every second of all the action of the touring cars. The great man, of course, informed all of the Formula One action this afternoon here from Adelaide. So Jimmy Richards now gets a little buffer on Johnny Bow. He's starting to really get the traffic worked out. He's got his rhythm going nicely, hasn't he?
He has it, obviously he's driving the car great. The car is always so consistent being four-wheel drive.
And they're the top positions for you, Richards.
Longhurst,
Jones.
Jones.
Longhurst and Jones in the top 6. What a great drive from Alan Jones. We haven't seen much of him. Brad Jones, I'm sorry. Brad Jones in the other hole. I was going to say, Jones, he's standing at the rear of the grid. He did get up the third at one stage. We'll find out where he is at the moment.
Brad Jones. What was he? He would have been driving maybe Advantage Racing car, the other mobile Commodore.
Exactly right.
At Blaine Seaton in the Sierra. Was that before Bathurst or something? Why is he racing the Sierra, not the Falcon?
Laps are starting to run out now. This one was a sprint, just over 10 laps. Jimmy Richards, hard to see him getting beat from here. Johnny Bow will certainly have a lunge at him where he can. I think the great dice has been for third between Mazira and Perkins. That's been sensational. Richards' lap record, 140.72. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't. I thought, in the cooler conditions, the car would be very quick. And that's only about 7/10 of what they qualified at. So they're really on the pace.
Well, historical lap, really, in a car that...
Gee, the track looks very straight to get up to Wakefield Street. Yeah, there's Alan Jones and Sierra. Did they have a Falcon for Cedo? Surely he was. Oh.
Has run very impressively, and we've seen its first few outings. He's really hooking into it, throwing it out.
And they did well. Glen Seaton Racing with AJ and Cedo.
So hopefully you'll probably see us in more events than normal, but it'll be good for the racing.
So Jonesy must have joined him late in the year or something.
The British Formula.
Yes, and pretty much like the green BMW we saw yesterday with Paul Morrison.
In the 16 there. That Brad Jones. In 92. Driving for HRT. Did they crash? Yeah. Got Longhurst behind him. But he must have passed Longhurst to begin with. We better. Oh, there we go. Oversteer there. Interesting. I think he's just really. That car's really working for him. Oh! What the world? Bloody hell. How did he do that? Did we get a replay? Yeah. Or he's clipped the inside curb.
I'm not really quite sure what happened to it, but you never to see Brock make a mistake.
Here we
Well, have
go.
a look at here. Just reading this here. Look, he hit the curb pretty hard.
It's broke steering.
Yeah.
When it went over the ripple strip, you can see the front wheels wobbling around there now. The front wheels have got no control at all. Even it runs back into the fence here again. So as it went over the ripple strip, it broke a steering arm or something. It had no steering at all.
Hit the curb too hard. Yeah, unfortunate.
To the new hole that he's tried everything he can to develop it. He'll come back, Peter, perfect. He always does, but that is an expensive one.
Well, it is, you know, and it's really pretty sad because he's driving the cars as good as he's ever driven. He's driving fantastic, and he's just had a bad run for the last little while with the
No safety car.
It's one of those things that
Well, I suppose he's not in the way. Let's wave some yellows. It's also last lap, so Johnny lost it at the start. If he was ahead, he would have pulled away.
Exciting race, no doubt about that. Very sorry that we lost Glenn Seaton yesterday in a major bingle. Of course, Peter Perfect hit the wall in a big way, and none of us like to see that sort of thing happen. Larry Perkins sitting in there had a great drive today as well. Richards now, Perkins, Bazira, Jones, and Longhurst. That's how they finished. Mark Straight, all the best in your new career. I hope the Holden deal works for you. I hope you see an open wheel overseas soon. Congratulations on one of the best years in motor racing.
Thanks, Sarah.
So there we have it. Victory to the Jim Richards in a fabulous race. You're watching the one and only White Weather Sports. Stay with us, Australia. More to come.
Love it. All right. What? Love it. All right. What? More than one ingestion she's in primary URL. Send one stream to the. Well, it's not even going to tell me what it says. That's annoying. Yeah, I think I might wrap it up for now. I've got a busy day. Got to do some stuff. But yeah, it was a good time. Had LT Smash jump on and have a good chat. And so yeah, it was a good stream. We'll catch you guys next week. Bye bye.